When your own daughter tells you not to take things personally after draining the savings account you built for her future, you listen. Then you take action. She said it like it was nothing, like years of sacrifice were just some clerical error. So I decided, fine, let's play her game. She wanted space? I gave her a financial vacuum. She wanted freedom? I handed her the receipt. This isn't just about money. This is about learning. And I made sure the lesson had interest. Let me start by saying I'm not the kind of man who asks for thank yous. I don't need praise. Never have. But when it came to my daughter Jasmine, every single dollar I ever earned felt like it had a purpose. She came into my life when I was 27. I had just gotten out of the military. Her mom, Vanessa, wasn't exactly built for long-term responsibility. She was gone by Jasmine's 3rd birthday. After that, it was just me. And let me tell you, single fatherhood is no joke. I took whatever jobs I could. Post office, night security, delivering groceries back when people still handed over cash. It was survival, but I had a mission: give that girl a better future than I ever had. I started building little safety nets. A college fund here, a birthday bond there. I opened a savings account in both our names just in case life blindsided her one day. Now Jasmine? She's sharp, smart as hell. Creative too. She started editing videos in high school and had a little YouTube following by the time she hit college. I didn't understand half of what she was doing, but I supported it. When she got her first real job doing digital marketing for some fashion brand, I remember she called me and said, "It's my first big girl job, Dad." I laughed. Told her I was proud. I meant it. I was still adding money to that savings account, quietly, habitually, every few months. Birthday money, refund checks, whatever I could spare. She told me more than once, "Dad, you can close that account, seriously." I don't need it, but I kept it, just in case. Then came that Tuesday afternoon. I was doing my taxes, boring stuff, logging into accounts, and I opened that savings account. The one that had over 40 zero in it the last time I looked. I stared at it like it was a typo. Refreshed the page. Nothing changed. Transactions everywhere. 500 withdrawals. Apple Pay, Sephora, something labeled Tulum deposit, and 2-0 to someone named Goddess Raya. I felt my stomach twist. I called Jasmine immediately. Me. What happened to the savings? Her. Oh. That, yeah. I needed to make some investments. Don't freak out. It's just money. Me. You didn't think to ask? To tell me? Her. Dad, I'm 25. You've got to stop acting like my bank. You always make things so intense. Don't take it personally. That was the moment. That line. Don't take it personally. I didn't even respond. I just hung up. I sat there for a long time. Just frozen. Later that night, I mowed the lawn in the dark, just to do something. Anything. My mind kept looping. All those years. Every scraped dollar. For this, I couldn't sleep. My chest was heavy. I felt betrayed. Not because she used the money, I would have given it to her if she just asked, but because she dismissed it like it meant nothing. Like I meant nothing. The next morning I logged into a different account, one she didn't know about. A life insurance payout I'd tucked away. 12-0. I stared at it. Thought about all the birthdays, all the tears, all the nights I stayed up wondering how to afford a new pair of sneakers without bouncing a bill. Then I withdrew it. Every last cent. I didn't tell her. I didn't even feel guilty. She said not to take it personally. So I didn't. I took it financially. That line hit harder than I let on. Don't take it personally. Like years of sacrifice were some abstract math problem. Like working 2 jobs and skipping vacations and saying no to things I wanted so she could say yes. Was just paperwork. I nodded, swallowed the lump in my throat. Got it, I said. Makes sense. She smiled, actually smiled like we were done here. And then she walked out. Pizza crust in one hand, car keys in the other. The door shut behind her, and all that was left was silence. I stared at the fridge, at the magnet with her old 4th grade art project, a badly drawn rocket ship with the words, "My dad helps me blast off." So much for launch pads. That night I poured a drink, logged into my banking app, and made a decision. If she wanted adulthood, she'd get all of it. The good, the bad, the consequences. It wasn't revenge. It was reality. She said not to take it personally, so I cashed out her savings personally. You ever sit in a room so quiet that the ticking clock starts sounding like a threat? That's how my living room felt the day after I pulled the 12-0 from the backup account. I didn't tell Jasmine. I didn't know her that. She'd made her move. This was mine. Instead, I went back to my roots military brain. I made a plan. First, I organized the records. I spent hours combing through every transaction in the drained savings account. I wanted to understand the pattern, see the reasoning if there was any. It was chaos. 200 at Zara. 100 for something called brand reinvention coaching. 0 wired to a goddess Raya, who apparently offered some spiritual entrepreneurial course. 650 at a beach resort in Tulum. And the cherry on top, a 900 purchase labeled Energy Cleanse Retreat. That one really got me. She hadn't used that money to survive. She used it to pretend, to craft a version of herself online that didn't exist in real life. So, I made a spreadsheet. Tracked every dollar. I called the bank, froze the joint account, then removed my name from any of her remaining profiles where I was still listed as a backup. She wouldn't notice immediately. She never checked those things. Then, I called my financial advisor, put the 12-0 into a short-term investment under my sole name, and asked him to make it inaccessible for a year. Discipline, I told him. For both of us. The silence between me and Jasmine stretched for days. Not a text, not a call. I figured maybe she didn't know yet. Or maybe she thought ignoring it would make it go away. Either way, I wasn't chasing. But the world has a way of circling back. It started with a vague Instagram story. A black screen with white text. It always hurts worse when the betrayal comes from someone who raised you. I chuckled, out loud. Then the next one. Imagine your own father sabotaging your future because he doesn't understand your vision. Oh, she noticed. I didn't respond, but I watched. Quietly. Like you observe a fire when you know the wind is shifting. The next day, she posted a full video. A sit-down, serious tone. She titled it, "The Cost of Being Independent When Your Family Doesn't Believe in You." 12 minutes of her explaining how she was punished for dreaming, how I was emotionally withholding, how money had always been used as a control weapon. She was crying by minute 9. Real tears. The comments poured in, "You don't owe anyone your silence. Boomers just don't get it. Parents need to stop using guilt as a currency." A few voices of reason, too. Wait, she drained the whole savings account and didn't tell him? He had every right to be upset. But those were drowned out. The algorithm loved the drama. Within 48 hours, she hit 1.2 million views. I didn't respond right away. I thought about calling her. I wrote texts, deleted them, typed out a comment, erased it. I told myself it wasn't worth it, but then I woke up one morning to a phone call from my boss. Well, my old boss. Retired or not, when your name is dragged through digital mud, people notice. "You okay?" he asked. "Saw your daughter's video. Rough stuff." That was the tipping point. The minute my reputation started catching fire because she chose to play martyr on camera, that's when I decided the game needed a second player. So I made my own video. 3 minutes. Sat at my kitchen table. Same tired hoodie. No filters. I called it The Receipts. A father's side of the story. I wasn't angry. I wasn't dramatic. I was surgical. Calm. I spoke slowly, clearly, and with purpose. I held up screenshots of bank statements, date-stamped transfers, even a snippet of the text where she told me, "Don't take it personally." Then I ended with this. She told me not to take it personally. So I didn't. I took it financially. Upload. Within 24 hours? 3.7 million views? I hadn't expected that. Comment sections blew up. "This is the most composed revenge I've ever seen. We need more dads like this. Jasmine girl." This backfired hard. I didn't post again. I didn't need to. She, on the other hand, went quiet. Comments off. Likes hidden. Posts archived. The silence returned, but this time, she was the one sitting in it. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just closed my laptop, stood up, and went outside. The air felt lighter. The kind of lightness that comes after you let go of something heavy you didn't even know you were carrying. The truth? I still loved her. But love doesn't mean letting someone walk all over you while smiling like it's normal. She wanted independence? Well, now she had it. She went silent for over a week. Then one afternoon, I got a knock at my door. I opened it expecting a delivery, maybe another pair of those orthopedic shoes I'd ordered. But there she was. Yasmin. No camera crew. No makeup. No glam. Just my daughter. She didn't say anything at first. Just looked at me. I noticed her eyes were red. "Can I come in?" she asked. I nodded and stepped aside. We sat down in the kitchen, same table I filmed the video on. For a few minutes we said nothing. The fridge hummed. Somewhere in the house, a clock ticked. Finally, she spoke. "You embarrassed me." I raised an eyebrow. Not out of defiance, out of patience. "You embarrassed yourself," I said. "I just clarified." She didn't argue, just looked down at her hands. "I thought I had it figured out," she whispered. "I know. I was trying to build something. An image. A brand. And now?" I asked. She sighed. "Now I have a lot of followers, but not a lot of friends. Not a lot of money either. Those two tend to go hand in hand." She finally cracked a smile. Small, brief, but it was there. "You were right," she admitted. "Not about everything, but I should have told you." I panicked. The account was there, and It's not about the money, Jasmine. I know. Another long silence. "Can we fix it?" she asked. I leaned back in my chair. "Maybe. But we don't start with the bank. We start with trust." She nodded. No tears, no dramatics. Just a quiet understanding. We talked for an hour. About old times. About her childhood. About how hard it was for me to show softness back then. About how hard it is for her to accept structure now. We weren't healed. Not yet. But something had shifted. When she left that night, she hugged me. Not the kind you give at a family gathering. A real one. One that lingered. I didn't post another video. Neither did she. We didn't need to. The internet moved on. But we were just getting started. They say the hardest part about rebuilding isn't starting from scratch. It's clearing out the old wreckage first. After that night, Jasmine came by. Things didn't magically repair themselves. No Hollywood ending. But for the first time in months, we were speaking from the same language. Honesty. A few days later, she texted me a spreadsheet. Budget, debts, subscriptions, future goals. I couldn't believe it. Jasmine had made a personal finance tracker. Color-coded, even. "Thought you might like to see what I'm working on," she wrote. I smiled at my phone. Not because I needed her to fix everything overnight, but because she was finally trying. We met once a week after that. Coffee shop, back porch, her apartment once. She cooked, burned the pasta. We laughed. She started opening up about how the pressure of staying a brand online had messed with her judgment. How seeing other influencers with luxury lives made her panic about falling behind. How that panic made her justify taking shortcuts. "I thought if I just leveled up one more time, everything would fall into place," she said. "That's not how stability works," I replied. "It doesn't fall into place. You build it. One dull, unsexy brick at a time." Around this time, I started getting messages from people, strangers who had seen my original video. One woman wrote, "Thank you for saying what I couldn't. My daughter drained our joint account too. And I thought I was the crazy one." Another guy, "I showed your story to my son. He deleted his crypto app the next day. I realized this wasn't just about Jasmine. It wasn't just about me. It was a generational wound. Parents feeling erased. Kids feeling patronized. Everyone yelling. No one listening. So I started a small series on my channel. Nothing flashy. Just me and my coffee. Talks with Dad, I called it. Topics like, what to do when they ignore your help. Love is not a credit line. Respect is a two-way wire transfer. It gained traction. Slowly. Then steadily. People were thirsty for boundaries, for reconciliation, for real talk. And Jasmine? She watched every episode, even commented a few times. She even made a video herself, not dramatic, not tearful. Just her sitting in her room, no filter. I made a lot of mistakes, but I'm learning. And I'm lucky to have a dad who didn't let me drown in them, even if it took me a while to understand the lesson. The comments under her post were kinder than I expected. People related to her. People saw themselves in her missteps. She wasn't a villain, just human. We started rebuilding. Not our finances, that was already happening. We rebuilt our trust. With every honest conversation, every boundary respected, every apology, followed by action. Sometimes healing doesn't look like a hug or a grand gesture. Sometimes it looks like her texting me before she makes a big purchase. Sometimes it's her asking for my opinion again just because she wants to hear it. Sometimes it's her saying, "Thanks, Dad," and meaning it. But it wasn't all sunshine. There was one night, maybe 3 months into our new rhythm, when I found out she had started working with Goddess Raya again. That same so-called influencer I saw in the bank transactions. The one who peddled quick-fix spirituality and turned mentorship into manipulation. "It's different now," Jasmine insisted. "She's just consulting on a shoot. I'm not investing or anything." But I felt my chest tighten. "You sure this is a good idea?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm setting boundaries. I promise." I nodded, but that old familiar weight crept back in. I knew that voice, hers and mine. The one that tries to sound sure while hiding the cracks underneath. So I did something hard. I didn't intervene. I let her find out on her own. 2 weeks later, she texted me one word. Blocked. I sent back a thumbs up. It wasn't just about money anymore. This was about identity, choices, grit. And Jasmine was learning to make her own. I watched her evolve, not just as a daughter, but as a woman who knew how to protect her peace. And honestly, that was the greatest return on investment I could have ever asked for. Here's the thing they don't tell you about parenting adult children. You're still parenting, you're just not always invited to the table. And Jasmine had made it very clear. She was setting her own table now. That table didn't always have a seat for me. That hurt. But I respected it. She started consulting for small businesses. Local designers, eco stores, some vintage candle brand that smelled like eucalyptus and regret. But she was good. Sharp, savvy. She launched her own LLC, GRM Creative Studio. Said it out loud like she was naming her first child. I didn't laugh. I clapped. She called me when she got her first big client. I answered on the first ring. "They're paying me up front, Dad. Not exposure, not barter. Money." "I'd say you've graduated," I told her. And for a while it was smooth. Real smooth. Almost suspiciously so. Then came the interview. Some mid-tier podcaster got a hold of our story. Wanted Jasmine to talk about financial betrayal and generational divide. She texted me first. "Should I do it? Do you want to?" I asked. "Yeah, but I don't want to paint you like a villain. I trust you." She did it. And she nailed it. She spoke with grace, with fire, with accountability. She owned every mistake, every dollar misused. And then she said this. "What my dad did, it wasn't petty. It was personal. Because love is personal. And I get that now. I didn't before." That clip went viral. Suddenly, her inbox was full. Brand deals, speaking panels, a reality show pitch she turned down. Thank God. I started getting requests too, from finance podcasts, parenting blogs. One daytime show even wanted to fly me out to talk about financial retribution as a parenting tool. I declined, not because I wasn't proud, but because this wasn't about revenge. It never was. It was about boundaries. And now that mine were finally being respected, I didn't need a stage. But something shifted. We weren't just repairing a bond anymore, we were building a legacy. And legacies don't happen in silence. So I started writing a book. Quietly, scribbles in my garage office. Working title, Direct Deposits of the Heart. Yeah, cheesy. Jasmine hated it. We started doing a sessions online together. First live stream, 300 viewers. Next, 30, 0. People were starved for raw, for nuance, for truth with a jagged edge. And Jasmine, she was no longer just my daughter. She was becoming my partner. Not in money, in message. Then came the letter, a thick envelope, mailed, handwritten, from her mother. Yeah, that Vanessa. I hadn't heard from her in almost 20 years. It was a mess of nostalgia, regret, and an awkward ask. She wanted to meet Jasmine. I froze. Jasmine read it sitting across from me. Her hands shook a little, but her face didn't crack. What do you think I should do? She asked. This is your choice, Joss. Whatever it is, I'll back it. She met her, once, over lunch. Said it was civil, weird, brief. Vanessa talked more about herself than Jasmine. But there was one thing she said that stuck. Your dad did what I couldn't. He stayed. Jasmine told me that over sushi a week later. We didn't say much after, just sat there chewing. Sometimes silence says everything. And then, like life always does, it threw another curveball. Grandma had a stroke. My mother. The anchor. The matriarch. She was 83 and sharper than me on most days. But the stroke changed everything. I took leave from work. Moved into her place part-time. Hospital visits. Physical therapy. Adult diapers. Financial guardianship. I was drowning. Jasmine saw it. She didn't flinch. She offered to co-manage the medical account. Showed up every third visit. Brought smoothies. Talked to doctors. She used to take care of you. Let's make sure she's good now. That hit different. The girl who once emptied the account without asking, now triple confirmed every pharmacy charge. It wasn't about perfection. It was about growth. And I finally understood parenting isn't something you finish. It's something you pass down. If you're lucky, they carry it better than you did. We were in a new rhythm now, one built on humility and consistency. And just when I thought we were leveling out, Jasmine surprised me again. It was a Sunday, early spring. She knocked on my door holding a binder. One of those zippered ones you see financial advisors carry when they mean business. What's this? I asked. Your retirement plan, she said. He blinked. Excuse me? She walked right past me and laid everything out on the kitchen table: spreadsheets, accounts, healthcare contingencies, even assisted living options if it came to that. I've been talking with a planner, she said, almost nervous. Not to micromanage, but to return the favor. You spent your life building a parachute for me. I think it's time I help you stitch yours. I looked at the paperwork, and for the first time in years, I felt safe. Not because I had money, but because I had a daughter who was thinking ahead. For both of us. We weren't reversing roles. We were rotating them, trading tools, trusting each other. It wasn't flashy. There was no viral moment, no trending tweet, just two people at a table, going over what mattered, line by line. Later that week, she joined me at Grandma's again. We brought soup and played some old jazz in the background. Grandma couldn't speak yet, but she smiled when Jasmine held her hand. I think she forgives me, Jasmine whispered. She was never mad, I said. She just wanted to see you steady. That night I watched from the doorway as Jasmine brushed Grandma's hair and read to her. It was poetry Adrian Rich. Jasmine didn't stumble once. I thought back to the little girl who once ran from math homework. Now here she was, calculating medications and tax strategies with equal poise. You can't teach that. Life teaches that. And sometimes, the hardest lessons come from the people closest to you. Jasmine and I didn't need to say it out loud, but we both knew this wasn't just reconciliation. This was inheritance. Not of money, of responsibility, of presence, of showing up, not for applause, not for validation, but because we chose each other again. And as I looked at the woman she'd become, I realized I hadn't just cashed out her savings years ago. I'd reinvested in something far more valuable. Her future, her strength, our bond. Legacy isn't about what you leave behind. It's about what continues because of you. When Jasmine helped me with Grandma, I thought that might be the end of our arc. We'd gone from fracture to forgiveness. That felt complete. But life has a funny way of reminding you, there's always more to give. One morning, Jasmine called me earlier than usual. I was still in my robe, pouring black coffee like I always did. She didn't say hello. You busy? She asked. It's 6. 4:47 a.m. on a Saturday. Define busy. I think I want to teach. I sat down. Not out of shock. Out of respect. Because Jasmine didn't just blurt things like this. She'd been thinking, planning, workshops, seminars, not just marketing, financial literacy, for people like me, you know, creatives who don't know what a Roth IRA is. I smiled. So, the gospel according to your old man? She laughed. With better branding. And just like that, we started building again. She called the initiative the Reset Fund, part mentorship, part resource hub, part therapy circle for people who'd messed up financially and wanted a second shot. She didn't preach from a pedestal. She shared from the trenches. And her first guest speaker? Me. I wore the same blazer I'd worn to her middle school graduation. Still fit. Barely. My name's David, I said to the room. And I'm not a financial expert. But I know what it feels like to watch someone you love ignore every warning until the check bounces. The crowd laughed. They leaned in. They listened. And Jasmine stood in the back, arms folded, smiling. Afterward, she came up and hugged me. Not the polite shoulder hug. The real kind. The kind that rewrites old pages. You killed it, she whispered. I didn't need applause. That was enough. From there, it snowballed. She built an online platform, wrote a guide, started an interview series with parents and kids who'd been through their own version of the money war. It wasn't just about cash. It was about communication. Rebuilding trust. Creating structure that didn't suffocate. And somewhere along the way, Jasmine asked me something that stopped me cold. What would have helped you back then, Dad, when you were raising me alone? I exhaled. Community. A place to ask dumb questions. A place to say I'm scared without being called weak. She nodded slowly. Then let's build that too. So we added a virtual support group, Dad Mode On. Weekly meetups for single fathers, moderated by professionals and dads who'd been through the ringer. The first session? 12 guys. 2 cried. 1 reconnected with his estranged daughter the next week. We were changing things. Quietly, steadily, meaningfully. And Jasmine? She was thriving. She wasn't perfect. She still had those days where she second-guessed, spiraled, froze. But the difference was she faced it. She didn't run. And neither did I. Then came the ceremony. Not an award show. Nothing flashy. Just a rented community center. Plastic chairs. 100 people who'd benefited from the Reset Fund in one way or another. They called us to the front. Someone handed Jasmine a plaque. It read, "For turning mistakes into movement." She turned it over in her hands, then looked at me. You read it. So I did. I cleared my throat. To my daughter. Who taught me that parenting doesn't stop at 18. And to everyone here, your past doesn't define you. But what you do with it just might. I didn't cry. Not because I wasn't emotional. Because I didn't need to anymore. I'd cried in silence for years. Now I was building in public. The night ended with cake. Terrible frosting. But the best kind of sugar rush. Later, Jasmine and I stood outside, leaning against my car. The air was warm, streetlights buzzing. You still mad I drained that account? She asked. I was never mad, I said. I was disappointed, and hurt, and scared. But not mad. She looked up. You think I'm finally ready to handle money? I think you're ready to handle anything. She smiled. Even a trust fund? I laughed. Don't push it. But truth be told, I'd already started one. Not because I thought she needed it, but because I wanted her to know some investments take years to pay off. And some daughters? They're worth the wait.